All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a really powerful idea today, one that's all built around that old saying, stop just giving people fish and start teaching them how to fish. It's all about getting away from the endless cycle of quick fixes and really building skills that create lasting, meaningful change. But let's start with a feeling I think we all know. You get some advice, maybe you read a book or talk to someone, and you feel super motivated, but then a few weeks later, poof, you're right back where you started. It's so frustrating, right? So why is that? Why does so much good, well-intentioned advice just not stick? When you boil it all down, the problem lies in two totally different ways of helping someone. On one side, you've got the short-term fix. I love how the source calls this the revolving door. People just keep coming back with the same kind of problem, needing another specific answer. But on the other side, the goal is long-term skill. It's about teaching people how to figure things out on their own. One approach creates dependency, and the other, it creates real independence. Okay, so to get to that independence, the very first thing we have to do is completely redefine what success even looks like. Seriously, it's not about these huge, dramatic transformations. It's about shifting to a mindset that's way more realistic and way more powerful. And this is where so many of us go wrong, right? We have these wildly ambitious goals. We think, this person is at level F. I can get them all the way to level Z in just a few weeks. But this kind of thinking just sets everybody up for failure. Real, deep-seated patterns just don't change that fast. So here's the big shift, the sustainable goal. Success isn't about getting to Z. It's just about getting to the next letter. It's helping someone move from F to G. That's the win. It's a small step, but it's an achievable one. And it's those small, achievable steps that build the momentum for real, genuine growth over time. So, we've redefined our goal. Now we have to play doctor for a minute. We have to figure out why people get stuck in the first place. Because before you can offer any kind of solution, you've got to have the right diagnosis. And it usually comes down to one of two things. So you have to ask, what's really going on here? Is it a lack of desire? Is the person just, as the source puts it, dull of hearing? Are they unmotivated or maybe just unwilling to do the hard work? Or is it a lack of skill? Do they genuinely want to change, but they just literally don't know how? The answer to that question changes everything about how you help. And this isn't a small thing. The stakes for staying stuck are actually pretty high. You're missing out on deeper insights, you lose the ability to help other people, and you can't even really use the principles you're trying to learn. Ultimately, you just kind of stall out. You experience this personal atrophy, you just stop growing. That's a huge motivation to figure out a way forward. So what's the prescription? What's the fix? Well, if the big problem is that gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it, the bridge across that gap has one name: practice. Simple, consistent, intentional practice. Ambition alone never changed anyone. Wanting to change is great. It's a fantastic starting point, but it's not enough. Real change only kicks in when knowledge gets put into action. And this isn't some new idea, right? Think about it. The wise and foolish builders, they both heard the exact same thing, but only one acted on it. The parable of the soils, all four soils got the seed, but what they did with it determined the outcome. The 10 virgins, they all wanted to go to the wedding, but only half of them took action to prepare. The pattern is crystal clear. Hearing isn't enough. Doing is what makes all the difference. All right, so if practice is the magic ingredient, what does good practice actually look like? Let's get really practical here. The framework breaks it down into 5 big categories you can pull from. There's engaging with core texts, in this case, Bible study. There's practicing communication, like prayer. It's also connecting with a community or support system, using other helpful resources like books. And, this is a big one, taking specific, concrete action steps in your actual life. But here is the absolute key, the secret sauce, really. The practice has to be specific, and it has to be purposeful. Giving someone vague advice like, hey, go read about not worrying, is basically useless. But a specific assignment, like read this exact passage on 3 different days this week, and each time write down one reason Jesus gives for why we shouldn't worry. See the difference? One is just noise. The other is a clear, doable, powerful tool. This all builds to a final, really powerful idea that honestly might change the way you think about this whole process. It's called the 167-hour mindset. 167.
What in the world is that? What could that possibly mean? Well, it's pretty simple actually. It's the number of hours in a week minus 1.
And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway of this entire framework. That 1 hour meeting, that counseling session, that weekly check in, that's not where the magic happens. That 1 hour is just the strategy session. The real work, the real growth, the real change happens in the other 167 hours of the week when you're out there living your life.
So the whole thing leaves us with this one huge question to ask ourselves, whether we're the one giving help or receiving it. Is our focus just on getting through that 1 hour session? Or are we truly equipping ourselves and others with the skills and practices needed to navigate the other 167? Because that is the difference between a temporary fix and truly teaching someone how to fish for a lifetime.